morning.
Good morning. I love that intro.
Makes me really excited. We were dancing, everybody. I hope you were.
We were just, yeah, why not? It's just kind of, and then it builds and you're like, here we go, here we go.
I know. It's so much more exciting than the balls without any music.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Hope you are well. We are now live on YouTube and Facebook. I don't know if anyone is testing Facebook. You don't have to. I'm sure someone will. But yes.
So Martin says hello from Facebook.
Hello from Facebook. So we're obviously working. So very good morning to you all. We are Refresh Church in the community. And we are based in East Molesey, which is in Surrey, very close to Hampton Court Palace. So you are very welcome. In the comments below, in the section below, if you like what you hear, or you want to stay in touch, or you want to know more about anything, use all of the links below in the comments and we will get back to you, as they say. So good morning. Should we say hello to our fellow viewers?
Yeah, we've got your lovely husband says good morning, everyone. Who else have we got? Oh, he's really proud because he's super early this week. Well done, Mark Gregory. You beat Mark Blythe to it.
You did.
Morning, Karen. Morning, Richard. Beryl says, don't forget to wash your hands, everyone. Hi, Susie. Olivia says, hope all the new tech is kind to us. It's working perfectly, Olivia.
Shh. Lots of
Sheila.
prayers.
Hi, Sheila.
Good morning.
Shaz says, morning all on this beautiful morning. It is really lovely outside, isn't it?
Super. It is lovely.
Mary Stewart.
Good morning,
we've got lots of people watching. Joy and, there's clearly a theme today. Clay G, hello. She's just had her first dose of the COVID vaccine and you're booked in, aren't you, later? So is Martin. Tim had his yesterday.
I was going to say today is Census Day.
Oh, yes.
Yes, get those censuses in. And COVID vaccination day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there seems to be a lot of people today. There's an extremely efficient and, I was going to say push, but huge numbers are being daily vaccinated. So, yes, there's loads of things on Facebook that I found friends saying, vaccination day. It's going to be an unofficial gathering.
It is. And a massive thank you to everyone out there, all the volunteers. Thank you, Phil, for all your organisation. I know Leslie's daughter Louise is out there too. So a massive thank you to all you people making this happen for us all.
Making it happen. We couldn't do it without you. Yes. And it's not, they do it till quite late as well. It's not.
I think you can go in the middle of the night if you want.
Wow. You are heroes. We know you know it. You've heard it before, but you really are our heroes, and we love you and can't thank you enough for everyone that's out there doing that. So
Holly said a year ago this Tuesday we went into lockdown, and here we still are.
Yay!
We're heading in the right direction. Let's stay positive.
We had a little pause. We had a little pause, and we could do things.
Yeah.
We come back. I think we're pros at it, but I think everyone's kind of had enough now. And it wasn't particularly easy over Christmas, let's say that.
No.
And or January, February. Mind you, they're pretty blue months. So yes, we're getting some good. We've got people on Facebook and we've got people on YouTube. Fantastic.
Yeah,
lovely
good morning, everyone. You're all very welcome.
Lovely to have you. Now, should we start off? I've made a rod for my own back, but it's a great spoken word. It's just the tech of having to share screen and everything. So while we're all still talking, because we have to sort of talk over the process of setting it up. There's no other way to do it. So this is from the lovely Rich Ward. Last week we had Linda Ward. This is her husband. So just to focus us, get our eyes on God and why we're all here this morning. So where the heck are we? There we go. And off we go with any luck.
Follow me into the crowd, follow me into the crowd. I'll show you the invisible, the indivisible, the vanquished, the banished. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. I'll show you the other side, the other perspective, the trick you won't believe or perceive, because you'll see that it's right before your eyes. The size of this perspective, these triptych spies that cause people to despise. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. Leave the naysayers, the mainstream culture players. I'll show you life, a side of the pie you can't divide or split or analyse. We'll cross a thin line, a great divide, before your eyes, near, far, free, yet it costs me everything, everywhere. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. Feel the closeness, the rub of life, the tension of strife, yet peace, bountiful peace, the hustle and bustle, the beating hearts of the beautiful crowd of life's fallen proud. There, the hidden shroud. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. Follow me. Follow me into the crowd. Don't be afraid. Fear is paid. I ransom that handsome lie to bring you here and set you free to follow me and follow me. Follow me into the crowd.
I love that.
Oh, that London.
I love that line where it says fear is paid.
Yes, but it's just those views of London look fantastic. It can be a very unpleasant place sometimes, but it's just that just those views make me miss it. You know, the tube going into a crowd. You know, hello. But yes, lovely. Thank you so much. That was Rich Ward who did that for a conference that we did, but worth re-seeing and sharing again. Thank you so much.
So good.
Good stuff. So, Anna, shall I?
Yeah.
I need a little thingy, don't I? A little intro. Now you can choose this morning. Do you want the sung one or do you want the non-sung intro?
I'd like, so the song one is that the Wharf one? Yeah, We Are Refresh Family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go.
We are a family.
Sorry, it always really makes me laugh.
We are. If you're joining us for the first time and you think, what have I tuned into? We see church as family. We see church as
absolutely.
Family. We do life together. We help each other through the good times and the bad times. And if you think of it like family and not as some kind of organization, changes your perspective. So, hence the jingle.
Yeah, so we've got our jingle, and each week we have some doorstep photos of people that we haven't seen for a while, because we think you're gorgeous and we want to see your lovely faces after such a long time. So the first one is Alex and Eve Mowbray, looking gorgeous and lovely. And then the next one is Matt and Amy Kelly in their lovely new house. I love that stained glass above the door. Yeah. Hi, guys. And then we have got Richard and Grace Roper. Lovely to see you.
The doorstep challenge.
Yeah, love it.
All at a safe distance, all very, above board. So we were like, well, where there's a will, there's a way. We will photograph you in your home at a safe distance.
Yeah,
we haven't seen your faces for so long. This is the only way we can do it.
Yeah, so we'll be out again this week. It's the lovely Hannah. Thank you, Hannah, for taking your photos. And Morgan's done it too.
And just to, because I like
we
it.
We are a family.
And if you are watching for the first time and you think I'd like to be part of that family, come on in.
Yeah, we have lots of fun and we'd love to come and take your picture as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, here we go. Martin said it's a tune. He likes it.
It's a tune. And well, yeah, there we go. We might drive people mad. You can put your comments. You can, by all means, leave a comment to say, can we have the one that has no music? Or you can pick each week. Long Lost Family.
We'll ignore that because we like the music one.
It breaks it up. Breaks up the morning.
Exactly. We love a bit of music.
Yeah, the whole point is to emphasize the family of church that we are rather than an organization. So If we give you a giggle, we've done something good today.
So we've got a bit of a surprise. Oh, birthdays. Were we going to do birthdays?
Should we just do quick shout outs rather than big songs? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the lovely Joe White, happy birthday. We won't ruin your ears by singing across YouTube and Facebook because it's very distorted and it will make my beautiful opera voice sound terrible.
You've got proper microphones.
Exactly. So happy birthday, Joe.
Birthday, Joe. Yeah.
And I think it was also Annie's birthday this week. So I don't know if Annie's watching. Happy birthday, Annie. And happy birthday, anyone else. I don't know if there's any kids. It's your birthday this week. Pop it in the comments and we can say happy birthday.
Yes, we can. Yeah. Yes, we can. It's thank you, Tim. I'm sorry. We have a private chat and someone has left me a message. Exactly. Well, you could have got your guitar out and accompanied us.
So should we move on to our surprise?
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, Martin got in touch with Dave and Josie this week. They're currently in Brazil. They're part of the lovely, massive Refresh family that we are. They have been there for 4 years, and we thought let's pop on to Zoom whilst we can and say hi. So here's a little message from them.
Yay.
Well, I am here with David and Josie, and it's so good to see you guys.
Hey.
Over there in Brazil. We've been having a little catch up on Zoom, and we're just recording a little segment, a little greeting. So tell us, what's life been like for you? I know it's 4 years since you moved out there. How's it all going?
It's going very well, thank you. Yeah, 4 years, my goodness, the time has flown past. Can't believe how quickly it's gone and how much the kids have grown. It was a shock to hear that Harry is going to be going to university next year, and makes you realize that all things are going on when you're not there. So it'll be interesting to see people when we come back, because our big news is this year we're planning to come back. In fact, we would be flying back at the end of this month if it weren't for all the travel restrictions. So we're just trying to work out at the moment how we make that happen.
That's fantastic, and we really want to. We're all cheering. Everyone's cheering now, watching this, and it's brilliant. I had no idea. We had this Zoom call, and then you'd like kind of let this cat out of the bag, saying you're returning to the UK, and that's fantastic news. I guess we can pray for your safe passage back, because it's not going to be not easy this time. But what's life been like, particularly for the kids and school? And I know you've been homeschooling. What's been going on sort of recently?
It's been good. I mean, not the last year. Homeschool is not my strong suit, but I'm surviving and thriving until the end, because I know it's important, and they have to. I mean, over here they have a lot of spare time, so they shouldn't complain much about doing homework. But it has been good. In the beginning, I thought that would be very challenging for them due to the language, but they catch up. They pick it up really well. They didn't, with time, they did enjoy being here. Of course, it was very different from what they knew. Not so much for Bella, but much more for Hafa, because he spent like 6.5 years of his life in the UK, and he missed his family, his cousins, his grandparents. But now he's happy and settled, especially happy because he's going back to the UK. Although, as you know, we don't know yet when that's going to happen. But we are, we're excited for all of this, and and I think they are making the most while we can.
I know everyone's had a challenging time over the last year or so, and it's been the same here. We've actually been pretty fortunate that there hasn't been the sort of same scale of lockdown as I know the UK has had. But in terms of the schools have been shut. I think they were shut for about 8 or 9 months last year. They're shut again at the moment, so we've had a lot of time together, which has been a blessing. I remember once, actually, right at the start of probably about a month into the lockdown, so kind of, I guess, April last year, sitting on the sofa with Bella, and she said, "Dad, is this the best time you've ever had?" And I was like, maybe. But I think for them, at the start, they really loved the fact that they could be with their mum and dad and home a lot. I'm sure the novelty's worn off them now.
Yeah.
And it'd be good to get them back at school, but we'll have to wait and see when that opens up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know on the call they've been outside and enjoying the space and out on their bikes and stuff. And also we had a couple of animals join us on the call earlier on. What's going on there?
Yes, we're moving to a zoo, I guess. We have a dog. It's been 3 years now that we adopted her. She comes from a rescue thing, no center, but someone here in the condominium, actually, she collects those dogs, and she always posts it on Instagram or any other social media, asking people who wanted to adopt those dogs. And then we saw, David saw and fell in love with it straight away. I wasn't sure about it, but there we go. So, now it's part of the family. And, and we have an adopted cat. So it's not something long term.
And Rafa's going to come and say hello. Say hello, Russ. Because this is to the church. This is being broadcast.
What?
Say hello. You're being recorded.
Agora não.
Can you see if Bella will come and say hello as well?
Depois.
Please just like us to come in.
A gente tá filmando aqui, é ao vivo, não posso falar não, tá? So a little bit of Portuguese for you.
I didn't catch that. Is she being shy? Did she want to come on? Or is she being a little bit shy?
I think she's still outside.
She's outside.
Oh, she's outside.
There she is.
Come say hello,
Bella,
Bella.
do you want to come here and say hello to the church?
Quickly.
Very quick. The church in England, if you still remember. Just say hi.
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 Hello, todo mundo.
No.
Good to see you. Oh.
There you go. How will you be on Saturday?
7.
7.
Wow, looking so grown up. Happy birthday for Saturday.
Thank you.
Great. Oh, it's so good to see you guys, and we're so excited about this next chapter and returning to the UK. It's brilliant. Thanks for joining us this morning, and we can't wait to see you live and in the flesh.
Live and alive.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic, and hopefully we can time things, our arrival in the UK, when things are kind of easing up and people can start meeting again. We're looking forward very much to seeing everyone again.
Brilliant.
Sorry about the background noise.
Great to see you guys.
Cheers. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Oh, how exciting is that?
It's, I hear right. They're coming back.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, and we have got loads of comments. Where is it?
Brilliant.
Paige said something in Portuguese. I have no idea what she's saying. Judith said, be so lovely to have you both back again. Really excited. Clagy is also very excited.
Yeah,
and Mark, hopefully they're watching, because I think they're 3 hours behind. I think that's right. So they could potentially be watching. So hi, Dave and Josie. Happy birthday, Bella.
Oh my gosh, Rafa.
I know
they grow. I know we've said it a million times, and I see things on Facebook. They grow, but when you see them, it's. Well, I just feel the need to kind of say it's like they're all these fantastic grown people now. You know what I mean? It sounds so stupid, but I think you know what I mean.
But yeah, no, really exciting, because we had no idea when we spoke to them on Tuesday night and they said it. We were like, oh my goodness, that is amazing. We can't wait to see you. So yeah, they're really excited. So we just have to pray that they get back safely and that everything works out.
Absolutely. Comments flooding in. So if they're watching it now or you're watching it on catch up, very excited to see it. Of course, we hope they come back to this area.
Yes. Well, I think they are. I don't know. They didn't say, but yeah, I think so. So yeah, really.
Yes. Please come back to this area. Yes. That's fantastic. So not only is it a surprise to have them on. Breaking news.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've always got hot off the press live here on Refresh Church.
I should have done. Oh, I've just seen a post. Dave Holmes.
Oh, happy birthday, Dave.
You don't escape. A happy birthday shout out. And Maddie's birthday. Is that right?
Oh,
Happy
I didn't see that.
birthday. Happy birthday to you. Well, they scroll, don't they? We don't catch them all. Apologies if we missed them. We're trying to sort of do this at the same time, clicking and chatting and various other things. So we want to be sure we've got as many as we can. But happy birthday for you if it's your birthday. See?
Refresh scoop.
Refresh scoop. Breaking news.
Yeah.
I know, that's brilliant.
I know.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly.
David and Josie. Oh, that's brilliant. Can't wait to see those kids as well. Just lovely kids. Absolutely. Right. So onwards and upwards. We now have next week we are starting. It's, I suppose, would you call it a new teaching season? But we're going into Philippians season.
Cool.
And David Oliver is kicking that off. So I have to share my screen again because we've got a little taster of a little opener, shall we say, of an intro. I'm going to call it an intro. I'm trying to share screen and do all the things.
That's all right. Exciting. So next week, here we go.
Press play, Michelle.
So the book of the month for October is Philippians, and I personally really love Philippians. In it, Paul is writing from prison to a church in Philippi, and he's facing a huge amount of struggle and persecution, and yet he's writing about joy and the love that we have in Christ. And I think the reason that I love it so much is because it really teaches us that no matter our point in life or our circumstances, whatever we're going through, we can refocus on God and find strength and hope and joy in Him.
Yes, we can.
So,
press pause.
If you could see what we're trying to jiggle around here.
Yeah, I know.
That went better than I thought. Yes, so
Yeah.
Philippians. And I think, yes, we're starting that next week. And David Oliver is our speaker next week, and he will be kicking that off. So tune in, same time, same place.
Yeah, don't miss that one.
No. And that seems, I have no idea what the time is.
5 to 11. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing to bring in our guest speaker for this morning. The one, the only. Da, da, da.
Hi,
Mr.
Tim.
Hill.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Yes,
Good.
we can. Good morning, Tim. Lovely to have you with us.
Thank you.
And do you want to give us a little intro on sort of what you do and, well, kind of what you were saying to us when we started when we met earlier this morning?
Oh gosh, well, if you don't already know, I'm a university lecturer these days. I teach various business courses at Roehampton University. I look after 2 degree programs and one of our partner organizations around the world, and I look after about several hundred students a year coming through and teach on our MBA program as well and stuff like that, which all sounds terribly I don't know, impressive. It isn't, honestly. Most of the time it isn't. It's just a job and one has to do it. And I'm a week away from the end of the teaching term, having had 2 terms and Christmas pretty much without a break. And partly because of COVID, because it's been so hard. I'm exhausted. Why did I agree to do this now, this Sunday?
Because you love being part of the church.
Well, actually, to be honest, I mean, I'll say it in a minute, but I am going to talk about stuff that very much was about the start of this term and where I was at and things that God was speaking to me about in it. So, yeah, just coming to the end of a fairly challenging season, I think, really, both in terms of the academic cycle, but also other things going on. Just finally sold my late father's house Friday, which we've been trying to clear for a year, and that's been a really, really big deal, but it's done. And
good stuff. Yeah, that's emotional and difficult, challenging, shall we say, the whole process.
Yes.
Well, good. Well, Anna, would you like to pray for Tim? And then
I'd love to.
Let you bring your message.
Yeah, dear God, thank you so much for Tim, that he's been able to make time to come and speak to us this morning. And I just want to pray for just a real sense of peace over him now and a real sense of clarity, and that you will use him to speak to us. And I just pray you'd bless him and that everybody watching at home will be really blessed by the words that he shares from you. Amen.
Brilliant.
Amen.
See you,
Thank
Tim.
you very much. Okay, well, hi everybody. I'm going to, by my standards, try and be fairly short and sweet this morning. I know sometimes I can end up talking for quite a long time because I always have so many things I want to dig into in depth. And I'm going to try and do that not just by talking fast, but also by being really efficient and effective. And in a sense, that's because all I want to say to you today is something that I believe God showed me in January. And actually, the starting point of this word this morning was never intended to be a preach or a teach. What happened was that on the 3rd of January, I was feeling, for a whole range of reasons, pretty low, miserable, deeply tired of lockdown that we were in, and I knew was coming for the rest of this term. I was pretty tired and exhausted already, knowing that I had another term to teach. I had this pressure of my father's house that we were in the process of clearing that just felt at the time still so far off being able to complete. And I just wasn't in a good place. And I knew it. And so I, that afternoon, put on my coat, went out by myself for a long walk, just so that I could clear my head, think, pray. I didn't have any particular agenda. I just knew I needed to do that. And funnily enough, that morning, Susie had been speaking and she mentioned in her talk exactly this idea: go and have a proper chat with your Father in heaven. And I kind of went out to do some business with God with no particular expectation, if I'm honest, that I would hear his voice, no particular expectation that he would speak to me. I guess a desire that he would, but if you like me are somebody who knows that God loves to talk to us, loves to interact with us, sometimes he stays quiet. And I never quite know why, usually probably because he's already said something before that I have ignored and haven't acted on yet. But I went out for that kind of walk and actually in the end got a lot out of it. And when I came home, I wrote it all down. And when I wrote it down, I forwarded it to Martin and Judith. And I just said, look, I've no idea what to do with this. I don't know if there's anything in here that's relevant to particular people in the church or to you as a leadership team. This is just a sort of cascade of thoughts, a download, if you like. Here it is. And Martin came back to me and said, let's book you in for a Sunday morning. So that is why I'm sitting here. And what I've got is what God said to me, and then kind of like the notes I made and the things that occurred to me as a result of that. So I was walking January the 3rd, and I'm starting to pray, and I'm going out on the footpath from Claygate over the A3 and out into the fields. And I just had this sense of God speaking to me. And he just said, don't despise this time. That was the first thing he said. Now, if you are somebody listening to this today who doesn't really understand the concept of God speaking to us, or you think I'm a bit nuts, that's fine. You're welcome to your opinion. But look at it like this. If the God of the Bible isn't real, then everything we're doing this morning is pointless and deluded and a waste of time. If he is real, then the God of the Bible loves to interact with his people. He loves his people. He wants to be in relationship with them. And the scriptures are full of examples of God interacting with people and speaking. And a lot of the time, the Bible doesn't tell us how he speaks. It just says things like God said to Moses, or things like that. And Paul's epistles, Paul's letters in the New Testament are full of things that clearly God had revealed to him. And how he does it is different every time. And over my years of exploring my faith, I've come to a place where I know that God sometimes stirs something in me that I can't get away from, that is beyond myself. So when I say God spoke to me, there's just the sense that I know that I know that I know, but I can't quite necessarily tell you how I know. So go with me on this and just assume for now, for the sake of argument, for the rest of the next 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is, that maybe there was something that was being said to me from outside of myself. And God says, don't despise this time. And here's the first thing I want to say. The way that God spoke this to me, I've never known anything like it before. It was a sense of being admonished, if I'm honest, told off, if you like, but with so much compassion and love that I didn't care at all that I was being told off. It didn't feel bad. It felt like somebody had put enormous arms around me and hugged me deep and gone, "Oh, you silly sausage. Don't you get it?" It was that kind of sense. So I was being corrected, but there was no hint of condemnation. Nothing. Totally a sense of acceptance and love and understanding, actually. That was the first thing to say. The context, the way it came across. And actually, that challenges me straight away. That too often when we think that we are positively correcting and criticizing people and supporting them and helping them to do things better, how good are we at doing that in a way that gives them the sense of love that I've just described? We're quite long on the negative and short on the positive side of things. And all I can say to you is the dominant feeling was of astonishing amounts of love and care. And therefore, the correction was incredibly easy to receive. So, with that in mind, let's continue. What I sensed from God was that he said to me, look, there's benefit to be found in the simplicity of lockdown, despite the obvious limitations and challenges. And that kind of got me thinking as I was walking and pondering and praying. And I just found my thoughts going all over the place. And this is why I say that I think God was speaking to me. He was drawing me in my mind and in my heart to different ideas and thoughts. And that's what I want to walk you through briefly. So I found myself drawn to thoughts of mountains and valleys. The water in a valley is always at the bottom of the valley. It reminded me straight away of an old Delirious song by Martin Smith. In fact, it's before Delirious. It's Cutting Edge Tape 4, for those of you that are old enough to remember those and have the red tape. If the blessing's in the valley, then in the river I will wait. If the blessing's in the valley, then in the river I will wait. You see, and this is where my head went. Being high up is not in and of itself enough. If you are high up on a flat plateau, you might be high in geographical terms, in sea level terms, but you don't get to experience the contrast of mountains and valleys. I looked up the highest plateau in the world. It's in Tibet. It's about 1 million square miles, which is 4 times the size of Texas or 5 times the size of France. The average elevation is 14,800 feet. Now, bear in mind, Mont Blanc, highest mountain in Western Europe, and one of the most significant and dominant freestanding mountains in the world, is only just slightly higher. It's only 15,000 something feet. So actually, you could be on a high plateau and not understand the mountains and the valleys. You see, it's a relative concept. You need the contrast between high and low to truly appreciate the high peaks and the wonder of the valleys. In the same way, we need the low of lockdown to truly appreciate the high of the freedom to love, laugh, play, worship, and pray together. Lockdown is horrible in comparison to normal life as we know it, but positively wonderful compared to life in, say, a brutal prison. It's all relative. And this is what God kept saying to me. Tim, it's all relative. Get your perspective. So let's just keep going with that for a moment. Our definition of rich or poor is in large part heavily skewed by what others around us do and do not have. Another comparison, speed. A Ferrari is fast compared to most cars, but slow when compared to a fighter jet. It's all relative. Spring feels warm after a long winter, but the same temperature at the end of summer feels cold because of what we've been used to in the recent months. It's all relative. You might think you're sitting still right now, or that I'm sitting still right now, but it's all relative. The physicist in me likes stuff like this. Okay. In comparison with the center of the Earth, we're going pretty fast. We go round and round, covering about 40,000 kilometers every 24 hours. So actually, what that means is relative to the center of the Earth, right now, I'm traveling at about 1,000 miles an hour. It's all relative. To bring it right up to date, you can't have the elation of seeing your team win at sport if you don't always also know the lows of loss. Particularly relevant to certain supporters this morning, maybe, for example, Everton supporters. And who's that other country that lost? That country that lost yesterday. What are they called? Wales. That's it. Wales. Hi, Mark. In this life, due to the nature of our humanity, our experience of our Heavenly Father is actually similar, to be honest, because we're limited by our humanity. Bluntly, we cannot know the joys and the miracles of God and the victory of God if there is no battle. If there's nothing we need saving from. If there's nothing we need saving from, we do not understand the power, the significance, and the value of being saved. Crucially, heaven, on the other hand, is not relative. It will be possible to be ecstatic all the time without it getting boring or losing its thrill. Why? Because boredom is inherently a limitation of the human condition that we'll be freed from in eternity. But as human beings, while on this earth, we are made to benefit from contrasts, and we need relative contrasts in order to appreciate things. So I'm on this walk, and all of this is going through my head. And as I was returning home, I looked up and I saw a pigeon sitting high up in a tree above me. And immediately God said, that pigeon can see a long way, and it's staying out of danger by being up there. But it's remaining remote and disengaged from you and where real life is playing out at ground level. You see, being up on high is great, but it's impossible to truly get alongside those in the bottom of the valley if you're on the mountaintop. There are a lot of people down in the valley right now, more than ever, and we need to live it too, so that we can get alongside them with credibility and empathy. That pigeon on the top of the tree, staying out of danger, staying away from me, reminded me, actually, it's an example I use in some of my business lectures, extremes. We talk about it in business ethics. It reminded me of the home of a man called Mukesh Ambani. Now, if you don't know who Mukesh Ambani is, he is India's richest man. And right now, according to Forbes, he's the 11th richest in the world. He's not worth very much, only $78 billion. Now, you may, if I tell you who he is, you may have seen this yourself on the telly. He built himself and his family a 27-floor skyscraper with 3 helipads, a 6-floor garage, multiple swimming pools, hanging gardens, 9 lift shafts, a spa, and a 50-seat theatre. Who for? For him, his wife, and his 3 kids. I kid you not. Oh, plus hundreds of servants. After all, if there are 5 of you in the family, then you need at least 100 servants, don't you? We all know that. They come and go by helicopter, so they never need to go out to street level where the real people are. Yet he built it right in the heart of Mumbai, a stone's throw from the slums and all their poverty. According to the New York Times, further down the same street lives, for example, a lady called Sushala Pawar. She has a job cooking for a family who live in a nearby apartment. She sleeps on the floor in the hallway of the apartment, and she earns about £60 a month. You see, Mukesh Ambani is like the pigeon in the tree looking down on real life, but keeping his distance from it. That is not what God wants us to do. We need to get down at street level. We need to mix with the poor, the suffering, the rejected, the downtrodden. We need to get alongside them. The problem is, we can't do that with credibility unless we experience some of that stuff for ourselves. So we are called to walk it as well, because that's when we can be authentic. I've always said, well, not always, I've said for many years now, I don't want to be in a church led by people who don't walk with a limp. Now, if you don't understand that reference, It's a reference really to a story in the Old Testament where Jacob has an encounter with God and he wrestles all night with an angel or with Jesus. And he comes out of that encounter permanently scarred. He comes out walking with a limp. And it's a permanent physical manifestation of a reminder of an encounter with God that changed him deeply forever. You know what? The great leaders walk with limps because they understand. Because they really understand. And I'm not going to pick out individuals now that you all know, but they walk with limps. And I think it's really important that we are prepared to walk with a limp. And that's what enables us to be authentic when we encounter other people who are limping as well. So finally, in my walk, this is where it changed slightly, which is quite interesting. And it's one of the reasons I forwarded this to Martin and Jude. God said to me, Tim, there's going to be a time after lockdown when the church, in its widest sense, not just ours, will benefit from the relative high of freedom again. As with most relative highs, like extra money, a new relationship, or a new car, or a new house, and all these things, the positive emotional surge doesn't last forever. This benefit to the church will not last forever. And I've put in here in brackets, I got a sense of months rather than years. But that for this brief period, there would be a wonderful opportunity to build new relationships, renew a love of corporate worship, and simply of fellowshipping together, because it will feel special for a time. And in addition, new people will come to churches out of gratitude to God for getting them through the pandemic, or just because it's a place to find another friendly human being face to face. We must be ready to embrace this, but we have to prepare now, while we're still in lockdown, for the freedom that's coming again and the wave of euphoria it will bring. See, God is in that euphoria because he's in the highs and the lows. He wants to use it for his glory to build his church again. But we must not forget he's also in the valleys and in the low places, because that's where the water flows, where we are ministered to and where we can minister. So we must not despise the valleys. So that's what I got on the walk, and I came back and wrote all this down. And I'm just going to explain briefly for 5 minutes. I'm going to put it into a scriptural context before I finish. But at this point, can I just say, if there's anything out of this that has struck you that you'd like to share with us, could you put it into the chat system if you're able to? Because what we want to do at the end of this, when I hand back to Shelley, is Shelley's just going to draw on some of the comments that you may be making, just to see what comes out of this. Because as I said, I've brought this because Martin said, bring it, and it's very personal to me. It's what God was saying to me about my journey and where I was at the time. And I haven't fully understood, of course not, what that all means to me day by day. It's very much, as I said at the beginning, a download from me to you. And it'll be really interesting to see what you get out of it. So briefly, I want to draw your attention to 1 Kings chapter 20. Now, it's a big chapter in the Old Testament, and I don't have time to read it all. So I'm going to summarize it incredibly simply and fast. It's a story of 2 Israelite victories over a massive and dominant Syrian army. Okay, so King Ahab is king of the Israelites at this time. This is King Ahab who'd gone off the rails a bit and had been put right by Elijah and the prophets of Baal. But King Ahab at this point is still a bit unsure about who God really is. And there's a verse partway through this chapter, I think it's verse 23, that says this: the servants of the king of Syria said to the king of Syria, their gods, the Israelite gods, are gods of the hills. Therefore, they were stronger than we. But if we fight against them in the plain, surely we will be stronger than they. Now, the reason they say this is in the first battle, the Israelites win, but the battle is fought in hilly country. And Syrian theology at the time was of small gods, of tribal or shamanistic views of spirits. And the ancient world had strong ideas of localized deities. So certain gods would have authority over certain areas. And the Israelites had won a victory in hilly terrain. So the Syrians thought, oh, well, the Israelite God is a God of hills. So their strategy to their king was, well, let's fight them on the plains. daft to us, but that was their mindset. If the Israelite God is God of the hills, then let's fight them on the plains and their God won't be effective or won't be interested. And actually their warped view of God was part of their downfall, because they imagined that God could be molded into an image that they wanted or could relate to. I'm going to give you a couple of quotes from the great late theologian Charles Spurgeon. The art of God making is very common among men. Instead of going to revelation to see what God is and humbly believing him as he reveals himself, men sit down and consider what sort of God he ought to be. And in so doing, they're no wiser than the man who makes a God of mud or wood or stone. You see, today, church, many think that God is a God of the hills, but not of the plains. And we fall into that trap ourselves sometimes. They think that God is a God of the past, but not of the present. Or that God is a God of a few special favourites, but not all of his people. Of white, but not black. Of straight, but not gay. Of rich, but not poor. Of the clean living, but not the sinner. Of our tribe, but not yours. Of people like us, but not like them. They think God is a God of one denomination, but not another. Of one sect, but not another. That God is a God of one kind of trial, but not of another kind. Perhaps, God's in that big challenging trial that demands divine and miraculous intervention, but not of the small everyday trials of life. Spurgeon again, another quote for you. Will God aid a Whitfield? That's a reference to George Whitfield, 18th century evangelist and co-founder of the Methodist Church, by the way. Will God aid a Whitfield, says Spurgeon, and not help a poor local preacher holding forth upon the green? Will he assist the earnest minister who addresses thousands and desert the simple girl who teaches a dozen little children the old, old story of the cross? Is this after the fashion of God, to patronize the eminent and neglect the lowly? Does Jesus despise the day of small things? You see, the Syrians got it wrong. God is a Lord of the plains or the valleys, as well as the hills and the mountains. God took the flawed theology of the Syrians as a personal insult, in effect. Our flawed and wrong ideas about God always take away from his glory and majesty. They never add to them. Adam Clarke, another 18th century theologian, said this: God resents their blasphemy and is determined to punish it. They shall now be discomfited in such a way as to show that God's power is everywhere and the multitude of the host is nothing against him. You see, the second victory in 1 Kings 20 that happens on the plains is an example of a crazy victory against the odds. The chapter describes the Israelites' armies as, and it quotes, like two small flocks of goats upon the plain, with the Syrians surrounding them. Basically, the Israelites had about 7,000 men. The Syrians were in the region of 100,000. So you are talking colossally outweighed, outgunned, outmanned, surrounded. We won't go into exactly how the victory happened. Let's not bother with that, because the point is there was an Israelite victory. It was a miracle of God done for a weak and unconfident people group, thus demonstrating God's power. Here's something that hit me only yesterday. If God just did things through skilled and confident people, the evidence of God's involvement would be less obvious. It would bring him less glory. You see, God showed me he's a God of the valleys as well as the hills, of the good times, but also the bad, that he longs to work through us in our weakness, as that only glorifies him more. No matter how much you've hated lockdown, do not despise this time, as God wants to work with you and through you in your weakness, in your brokenness. He said this to me: you may hate lockdown, Tim, but I am still here with you. You and me, Tim, we can still do business together. And there are some things we can do now that we couldn't do in any other situation. Who am I to resent that? Who am I to resent that? And I remind you of the words I quoted from that Martin Smith song. If the blessing's in the valley, then in the river I will wait. Church, I think sometimes we need to be willing to wait in the river. And I, for one, on January the 3rd, didn't like that very much. I still don't like it, but my perspective has shifted. Shelley, let me hand back to you. Could you put up that visual that I gave you and just see what others have said? You know, are there comments that are worth sharing? Has this struck a chord with anybody, or anything that we need to just briefly respond to?
We don't have any comments at the moment. I don't know if everyone is stunned and just not stunned, but sort of, you know, taking on board what you've said. I certainly, I remember thinking at the very beginning of lockdown, I didn't mind it. I think it's been said a few times. But Anna, are you putting that picture up? And I think
sorry,
that's fine. Cover me over. I'm fine. I loved the equality of it.
Mm-hmm.
All in the same place. I loved seeing the community coming out and just doing and being. I've got 2 hands, 2 legs, you know, what can I do to help? There was, I you know, tried to feel differently, but I couldn't feel differently. There has been, of course, the longevity of it. You know, there is the effect. I'm talking about the very beginning when we were all kind of locked down.
It was nice weather at the beginning, Shelley.
Yeah,
it was nice weather. Didn't that make a difference?
Yeah, it was just felt like you were doing something. This huge community feeling, and everyone, rich, poor, didn't make any difference, you know, color, creed, whatever. We were all in the same boat. And I don't know, in living memory, has that ever happened, you know, literally globally? But I think what has, certainly for me, it's the effect on my kids, or the fact that their life and so much of their life has stopped, and what they've had to change and to adapt to. But they are incredible. They are absolutely incredible. But there's a little bit of frustration that builds up for them, and stuff that they want to do and things to look forward to, that kind of, you know, thing that I think is creeping in a year later. But yeah, I still have a kind of fondness for this. Not that we can't be together. I think we're all in agreement that actually sucks. You know, that really has been the challenge. And I look forward to that. But yeah, I have to say there's something about this that I think we will all at some point, you know, have you know, maybe 50-50. I don't know what the percentage is, but a degree of fondness for this. Because it's been a feeling of togetherness. We're all in it together, whether it's, you know, and so many people have had, you know, we've had loss, there's so much that's gone on, but it made people kind of look locally. Do you know what I mean? Look less, they're just kind of looking after each other. There is a little message here from Kalaji. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We've had to really lean in and really, you know. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that, Barbara. I think it's been a journey. It's been a valley and it's been a mountain.
There's quite a few coming in now, isn't there? Look, there's one.
I'm considering a story time in my front garden here with the mums with toddlers, having seen them struggle through the long days. Your word encourages me with this. Got to know several of them more. There's going to be a huge amount of people that have had the same thing. And Tony's one as well. Tony and Alex. Lockdown is a great reminder that some of the things I've achieved before really had nothing to do with me. Would you say the sense of achievement in lockdown has been greater and more fulfilling than before? You know, the little things, little tiny things that you've managed to achieve in, you know, in a situation where you've really had to go on your own wits has actually fulfilled me probably more than it did before.
I think I valued little things more. I think there are things that I would have taken for granted that I've treasured much more. Just going for a walk with a friend. Things like that, you know, little things that used to be easy. And this is why I think there is this point about, you know, I know that the church is not persecuted here, but the fact is we've gone through a process for the last year as a community of believers where we've been unable to meet in the way that we used to. What we used to take for granted has been taken away from us. And that sense that God's saying there's going to be a whole sort of you know, rush of blood to the head, adrenaline, euphoria, call it what you will. There's going to be that positive sense of, hey, I mean, I, for one, am going to come into Refresh the first time I'm allowed to and hug everybody in sight. You know? Because I can't at the moment, right? Be warned, by the way.
Won't even get in the door. I think I'll be outside the door. It's difficult. We've got to move on. Yeah, as I say, the kids, you know, you've got to move on. You've got to go forward. But me and the girls, before Mark gets home from work, I love we go for walks. We put the world to rights, and I know that won't continue. And I'm enjoying every single second of it. Every single second of it. We've had so much fun together. We really have. And I know what it was like before. And I don't particularly want to go back to quite that madness, but you know what I mean? So mixed feelings.
Part of my problem was that I've been so busy for months and under so much pressure from multiple directions that in some ways I've had very little time to enjoy it. And that's a personal thing. That doesn't apply to everybody else. And you know, without going into the details, doing higher education entirely via Zoom with an awful lot of students who are just struggling massively in overcrowded small households in London, sharing a laptop and all this kind of stuff, and dealing with all of that has been really, really hard. And I think that made it a lot worse for me. And I'm not the only one like that. There are others like that. Other people will be struggling because they've lost their job or something like that. You know, everybody's experience is different.
This is one half of my life, because obviously the other half is theatre, and we all know what's been happening there. And there's been many a fight there. As I say, many a mountain, many a valley. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you very much indeed. And
thank you for keeping it real, Tim. Just what we needed to hear.
And can I just say, is that a rather beautiful picture of your wife over to your left shoulder?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes. I always have that there. It's always there. Sometimes it's more obvious than others, but it's always there.
Depends what's in the background, but sometimes you find you're looking in what's going on behind people. Ah, you look beautiful, Anita.
Ah, thanks,
Lovely.
Tim.
Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. So I will leave you in the very capable hands of Anna, who will finish off our morning with you, because I'm going to get my chair. Is this t-shirt, it's easily lift upable?
Oh, very good. You'll be fine.
I think I'm a little bit scared and a little bit
You'll be
excited.
fine. I had mine. I was fine.
I can't quite figure out. I suppose it's an event.
Yeah. Social event, but allowed.
A social event, exactly.
Well, it's been a good morning. See you soon. Bye. Well, it's been a real pleasure and a real honour. And wow, isn't God so amazing that he's spoken to us today? And as we finish, I'm just going to read a blessing. So wherever you are, I would just really encourage you, whether you believe in God or whether you don't believe in God, I would just really encourage you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that, and just allow God to speak to you, because he is very amazing. And like Tim said, he's there through the highs and the lows. So I'm just going to read this to you now. May you envision, I'll start again. May you envision Jesus standing at the door of your heart, knocking and waiting for you to respond to him. May you hear his voice gently calling you to a deeper, more intimate relationship with him. May you sense the intensity of his knock and not be overwhelmed by it. Instead, may it stir you to freely open your heart to him, so that you may come to experience the depth of relationship he so desires to have with you. May you know that you know that you know that you were created for relationship, that your desire to know God and to be known by him can simultaneously be fulfilled by him and at the same time increase over time. May you become more and more aware that there is no end to the revealing of God's nature, and that as you spend time with him, you will come to know what he is really like. Amen. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you again next week at 10:30. Goodbye.